So I quickly wanted to show you what I've told some of you in person about how to do two things. Either have a link that you have on one of your blog pages open in a new window rather than opening in the same tab or page that the user's currently viewing. And secondly, I want to talk through how to do referencing manually in case some of you are getting frustrated with the automated reference system that's up here. You can get to the help system from the reference list, by the way, just by pressing on this menu bar. And if you click here on usage instructions, there's some very detailed guidance of how to operate the automated reference list. First of all, though, let's talk about links and getting them to open in new windows. So this is a random test post here. It's just my biographical information that I have on my university website and my personal website. So to make a link to where I've said University of Bristol, all I do is, lots of you have been doing, is press insert edit link and go www.bristol.ac.uk and press apply, and that would just create a link. If I want to do more complex things though, I can just come over to this gear wheel here for link options. I can then type in the, I need to type in the URL again because I've changed it, and it'll format it for me appropriately. Or I could search for another blog post or whatever if I was linking on the site. But the most important thing is to then check this open link in a new tab. And when you click add link, if I just preview this now, when I click on University of Bristol, it should open up in a new tab. So my existing tab is already open, but we now have the new tab created for that link. Okay, so let's say I wanted to add a reference to the Thatcher's Pension Reforms project here. So I do it at the end of the line. If I was using the reference list, I could come across here, press add a reference, add manually, and then it would be a web page that I'm going to add this time. I'm not going to have a link but have a reference, and I guess in this case in reality it's probably more common for me to, because I'm not quoting anybody or directly taking a quote from that page, I'd probably just link to it, but for the sake of showing you how to do this, I'll insert a web page reference. So we'll have author, could be Hugh Pemberton, my colleague who's working on that project with me. Hugh's his first name. So the content title will be Thatcher's Pensions Reform, and our web title is is pensions. Yep, that's it. Pensions-history.uk. So it's a website. Wrong way around. But that's the URL, and our web title is Pensions History. There we are. You don't have to fill out all of these, but it'll affect how much information is there. Now the date accessed, well, I'm just going to put 2016, and then 10th for October, and 01 for the date. And I can add this reference. And you can see what it's done is it's turned it into an academic style reference, putting the reference at the end of the line, i.e. where I had the cursor when I added it, and I can carry on typing and it will move the reference section down. Now let's say I wanted to add that same reference to somewhere else, or I'd created them here. If I delete this reference, it might well turn it. This is really now an uncited reference. This is what that means in this list here. It means cited items literally means you inserted it directly and you created this reference at the point of when you actually wanted to insert it. Whereas the other way to do things is to add your references to this list first and then add them later to the actual content. So I'll just create a quick reference for my website. Pretend this is an article or something, and obviously selecting the type of thing changes what information it requires of you. So James Freeman website. The website title is James Freeman historian.org, and the URL is www.http. Sorry, you can put the HTTP before if you want, like that. And let's just say for this time I'll just give a year. 2016. There we are. If there's multiple authors, you can click Add Contributor here, and I'll click Add Reference. It's asking me for obviously the URL, which is important, and that just means it wants a HTTP reference. Yeah, so make sure those are. In fact, you don't actually need to put the HTTP in. The reason it's coming up with the error is because I think I had a space in the box there at the top. So make sure you haven't got anything there, and then just click add, and you can have whatever you like here. www. You could put the HTTP colon slashes in if you needed to. Press add reference. Now it's not added. It's added it in directly here, but I've also got it over here in the list. So if I was to delete this, and sometimes it will generate a list of unlisted items as well, or uncited items. So if I delete it properly by clicking on the reference and going remove selected, well, now what I have is two lists. I have a list of things that I have cited, that I have put in the post, and then I've got these other uncited items which I've created a reference for. I've given it all the information, but I no longer have it in my post, or perhaps I never had it in the post. So how do I add this in there if there's another point, let's say up here, Digital Humanities in the History Department, that's got a link, but one was about the next sentence. Well, what I could do is select my cursor at where I want the reference to go, select the reference from the list, so it's got this blue bar next to it, and then press up here, insert selected references. And it adds it to the bibliography at the end, or the footnotes, and it adds the endnote reference in that particular point of the text. Okay, so that's how to use the automated version. It makes the formatting and everything work in a very standard reference way, and it's completely up to you if you use that. Or you could use the manual version of doing this, which is a bit simpler, but does require you to do some kind of HTML coding. So for this, what I'd like you to do is to switch across from the visual view to the text view here, and we're going to use a much easier, much simpler rather, numbering system. I actually find the automated version pretty simple to use, but sometimes it can be a bit frustrating, especially if you're not using Chrome or Mozilla Firefox or Microsoft Edge. So just as a backup, for when you're finishing off your blog post this week, you could create a manual reference by putting in some spare brackets, the number 1 up here, and then down here, further down, putting in, let's say, the number 1 for your footnote here. Now the key is this is actually a code view of the website. As you can see up here, it's got the href, and this is a href, and this is the link. This is what a link looks like in terms of code. So what we can do is just select this here and make it into a link. We need to put a URL in, and that URLs links typically go to other websites, but they can just go to somewhere on the same page. So we'd want to uncheck open a new link, open a new tab, because we want this to happen, in the same window. And we're just going to put in a hashtag, which means same page, or a div section ID number on the same page, and we're going to put in FN1. It's come up because I did this already for this post in the past. So that means so hashtag FN1 is the ID that we're going to be looking for as FN1. Okay, and the ID is just going to point to a bit on our page. So we'll press that, and I think this will make more sense when we then come down here to this footnote here, and we can give this the open up some caret brackets, so A, and then we'll go ID equals FN1, note without the hashtag, because that's what the hashtag here is, just telling it to look for this ID variable here. And then we'll put in a href, which is the web address we would like this to go to if there was a web address associated with it. So www.bbc, let's say, .com. Okay, and then we do is we close those caret brackets. These are just HTML tag symbols, and we'd close off the link tag with / and an A. So this is just acting as a link tag, and it's going to be applied to whatever text we put in between here. So we want 1, and then we want to put the title of whatever it is in the referencing format that we were looking for. So I don't know, This is going to be very strange. So James Freeman, BBC News. And let's pretend I gave an interview in this time last year. There we are. So if this was a link to that particular piece. Okay, so let's create some space between that and our text, because I'm imagining that there's going to be more in here and this is further down the page. Save the draft in this case, and if we just press preview, it should load up. Press refresh so we get the latest version. Come on. Sometimes it can take a little while to update, make sure it's using the same version, put some more space in so we can see the difference. If you'd press published, it would automatically update a bit quicker. Okay. I think our issue is we need to add the space visually there and delete that old reference for this to work properly. There we are, it should be working now. So if we press preview, yeah, we've got lots of space where the rest of our text would be. But if we press this 1, which we put in, was the first bit we put in, it adjusts the page height down and takes us to where our reference is. Okay, so this, and if we click on this, this should, well, I've obviously got the link wrong. I think it, yeah. So when you typed in, when you're typing in a link manually from the website, it's really important you put that HTTP bit in before you on the href there. So if I now save and preview that, it should be fixed. Great. So you can press your link for the reference, takes you down the page to the list of references, and then you can hit one of those and it will take you off to the website you've cited. So that's a couple of different ways then to use links. We know now how to open them in a new window, and you can go back and change that for your existing week's blog posts if you've already done all the links. If you particularly wanted some to open in a new tab, you can definitely do that. And I've also given you two alternative ways, two ways of using the references in a system, one of which is a manual alternative if you're struggling in the couple of days before you have your posting.